It's finally happening. Every once in a while, a country shifts so fast it feels like tectonic plates moving in real time. That's Canada right now. I've followed Canadian politics for years, and I never expected to see Washington's grip loosen this quickly. When the news about Swedish jets and Chinese electric vehicles broke, I almost laughed, then realized the ground was moving under my feet too. This isn't just a policy tweak or economic adjustment. It's a nation waking up from dependency, building a new kind of power, one that doesn't need American permission. Jobs, alliances, even the very idea of being Canadian are all changing. How Mark Carney's government shattered decades-old dependencies. Why Canada's military and auto industries are suddenly at the center of a global tug-of-war. What Swedish Gripen jets and Chinese EVs reveal about Canada's new playbook. The stakes, power, sovereignty, and the myth that dependency is destiny. If you were in charge of Canada's next big alliance, would you double down on North America or risk deeper ties with Europe or Asia? Drop your answers below. I read them all. Before we dive in, a quick note. I wrote a book called Awake, The Practice of Critical Thinking in an Age of Self-Lies. It's about staying clear, calm, and grounded when the world distorts around you.
Welcome back, Viperjet Wings. Hope you find friends. For decades, Canada has operated under a quiet gravity, a sense that its place in the world was defined by what it wasn't. Need fighter jets? Buy American. Want the economy running? Keep the border open. Even Canadian identity often meant not American, not independent, not a threat. That gravity shaped everything: defense, trade, diplomacy, even how Canadians saw themselves. And there's a cost, a feeling of permanent smallness, waiting for Washington to approve your dreams. Consider this. Roughly 80% of Canada's defense budget went to American-made equipment. Officials now admit the security relationship leaned too heavily on the US. The illusion of inevitability? It almost always serves someone else, the bigger power. Canada's industrial story is the same. The auto industry followed the US playbook, and the 100% tariff on Chinese EVs kept alternatives out. Over time, dependency didn't just shape policy, it shaped identity. Today, seeing that pressure loosen is exciting. These first steps away from the old script don't erase the past, but they open the door to a future where Canadians define their own terms, not someone else's.
Almost overnight, the script flipped. Canada is now considering Swedish-made Gripen fighter jets for its fleet. And this isn't just about hardware, it's about rewiring who calls the shots. SAPAB isn't offering a simple export deal. They're proposing a joint venture, building jets in Canada, training Canadian engineers, and embedding cutting-edge technology into the Canadian aerospace ecosystem. This program could create up to 10,000 Canadian jobs. Suddenly, Canada isn't just a buyer, it's a builder. For decades, procurement felt like a formality. Everyone assumed the Americans would win. But with the F-35 looking less inevitable and Gripens landing on the runway, something deeper is happening. Canada is sending a subtle but unmistakable message: no more automatic obedience. This deal is more than a contract, it's a vote for sovereignty. And for the first time in years, it's the US that's looking rattled. Donald Trump, whose strategy relied on Canadian dependency, is watching a historic asset slip away. Defense procurement hasn't felt this exciting in decades, and this is why. While everyone's focused on the military deals, something equally seismic is happening across the Pacific. After years of diplomatic freeze, China has placed Canada back on its official list of approved tourist destinations, and that's just the beginning. There's credible talk that China could lift punishing tariffs on Canadian canola, a move that could save thousands of livelihoods and signal a cautious but real reset in relations.
Here's the strategic kicker. This didn't happen under Trudeau or Harper. It happened after a single 40-minute face-to-face meeting between Mark Carney and Chinese officials, 8 years of hostility altered in one handshake. Carney's approach isn't about showmanship, it's about respect, calm, and playing the long game, a rare quality in global politics. But this move isn't just about tourism or canola. It's about opening a door that's been shut since the Meng Wanzhou crisis. Think critically. Who benefits when Canada suddenly has more options? Who gets nervous when the monopoly breaks? This is a sovereignty story, proof that Canada doesn't have to live in someone else's shadow. This is the part that truly blows the ceiling off the story. China is signaling that in exchange for lifting canola tariffs, it expects reciprocity in the automotive sector. That means Chinese electric vehicles on Canadian roads, cheaper, faster, smarter, and an end to decades of U.S. auto dominance. Analysts from Export Development Canada report that China already accounts for nearly 40% of global EV exports, with a massive cost advantage in battery and vehicle production. For anyone watching the auto industry grind under protectionism, this feels revolutionary. The American car lobby has dreaded this moment for years, a Canadian market no longer obedient. Suddenly, consumers have real choices, prices drop, and U.S. leverage evaporates. Reports even show Canada is considering scrapping the 100% tariff on Chinese EVs, the exact barrier designed to protect U.S.-centric trade. Mark Carney's diversification strategy is clear: independence through opening doors, not closing them. But there's tension. Re-engaging China risks angering Washington. Canada is walking a high wire. How far can it stretch before something snaps? The fact remains, dependency has a cost, and for the first time in a generation, Canada is ready to pay the price for something bigger. It's risky, real, and exhilarating sovereignty. Standing back and looking at the details, it's hard not to feel exhilaration at what's unfolding. Canada is no longer just reacting, it's leading, stepping out of the shadows of bigger powers and building alliances that reflect its own interests. What excites me most is that after decades of being pulled by someone else's gravity, there's now a real chance to redraw the map, not just for Canada, but for any country boxed in by dependency. There is hope for everyone. So here's the question. If you could choose Canada's next big partnership, would you steer toward the familiar safety of North America, or take the leap into the open waters with Europe and Asia? The answer says as much about hope as it does strategy. The real lesson is this: the end of inevitability might just be the beginning of agency. When you're no longer trapped by what's always been done, you start to see how many doors are actually open. For deeper analysis, check out our full breakdown of the soft grip story and the companion video on the global power shifts under Mark Carney. And if you want tools for thinking clearly amid these massive changes, my book, Awake, The Practice of Critical Thinking in an Age of Self-Lies, can help you stay grounded and optimistic. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this analysis, subscribe for more insights on clarity, strategy, and global power shifts. Stay awake, stay curious, and keep building towards something bigger.